I'm going to take you through a journey through my perfume year, starting from last January all the way up until this December. I was a little bit surprised by what fragrances kind of like took over and what fragrances I kept reaching for over and over again. They weren't always the fragrances that I thought would be the star players during certain seasons or times of year, but these are them and I'm excited to share them with you. Definitely let me know down below what have been your most go-to fragrances this year. What have been your 2022 signature scents? I would say these have been basically my 2022 signature scents. So before we get into it, let's talk about today's sponsor, Ana Luisa Jewelry. Now, I have worked with Ana Luisa Jewelry before. If you haven't already noticed, I wear Ana Luisa Jewelry all the time in my videos. I especially love the Cuidado earrings and also these other earrings here. I've worn a lot in my videos. This is also a necklace that I've worn a lot in my videos that I really enjoy. And yeah, I just love these pieces. These are the Leah medium gold hoops, which are like my new favorites. I love these. I think they pair super well with a thicker necklace as well. I love this necklace and I think they look great together. Probably my favorite piece of jewelry so far has been the Cuidado earring. These are like my go-to earrings when I just want to feel kind of more dressed up and feminine. And I think these are going to be my new everyday casual but still cute earrings, which are the ALYSSA hoops. I just think these are so cute, versatile. They're simple, elegant, pretty feminine, but still kind of edgy. Ana Luisa Jewelry prides itself on being a sustainable company that takes the environment into consideration. My favorite part about Ana Luisa Jewelry is how versatile their pieces are. I feel like I can use these to dress up any outfit and for any special occasion, but I also feel that they're just suitable for everyday wear. Ana Luisa Jewelry is more affordable, but it doesn't take away from the fact that they look more expensive than they actually are. They're beautiful, they're durable, they're comfortable to wear. I have very sensitive skin and I easily get irritated by metals and cheaper jewelry. These don't irritate my skin at all, which I love. They make a really beautiful gift, either for yourself or for a loved one or a friend, because they are so versatile. These are great staple jewelry pieces for anyone who's looking to have good quality, more affordable jewelry in their collection. Ana Luisa does offer worldwide shipping. Their shipping is super fast. So if you're interested in checking Ana Luisa Jewelry out, definitely take a look and click on their website down in my description box. They have an end of year sale going on right now that is 20% off site-wide, and any other time of the year you can use Charlotte Ross 20 to get 20% off. So thank you so much to Ana Luisa for sponsoring today's video. Hi you guys, welcome back to the channel. It's Charlotte. Thank you so much for being here with me today. So this is the end of the year, 2022 finished just like that. Can't believe it. Was not ready for it, but 2023 is here, and I want to take you along on a journey throughout the past year and all the fragrances that had the biggest impact on me, or the fragrances that I wore the most. So I'm going to be quite honest, and 2022, the beginning, January, February, blur. I don't really remember that much. It was a very dark time for me personally, and I don't really remember what I was wearing, okay? But I do remember that as soon as March, April hit, and it was still cold, it was still winter, but there was like some like brightness coming out, like the snow was starting to melt sometimes, the sun was coming out a little bit more, a little bit of hope coming out, I did start wearing some specific perfumes. I was also going through a huge move during this time, so I didn't have access to all my perfumes. So during this time, a lot of the perfumes I wore were more comforting or cozy or fruity fragrances. So I'd say that maybe like during the end of last winter, I definitely, kept wearing my Mon Guerlain, which is one of my all-time favorite fragrances. It's an aromatic vanilla that I just think, even though, there's lots of vanillas on the market, this one is definitely one of my all-time favorites and definitely would make a top 10 for life, or a signature scent for me. I just love this fragrance and I wear it all year round, but I definitely wore it a lot more during the beginning of last year, so during the winter or like going into spring. As soon as it started getting a little bit warmer, and all of that, I started wearing some more uplifting, zingy scents. So I did wear a lot of Burberry Her, which I just love. I just find it uplifting. This is a very fruity, strawberry, musky scent with a little bit of a creamy quality. I know there's the new Elixir that has since come out and kind of overshadowed this one, and I do want to get that one eventually, but I just love the original Burberry Her. And while I have worn this a lot all year round, I especially wore this a lot during that time, during March, April, May, that time of year. I also wore and picked up at that time, actually, I added this to my collection around that time, Clean Reserve Radiant Nectar. And this is a fragrance that I wore so much during that time, in fact, that I kind of stopped wearing it after that, because every time I picked it up to smell it, it reminded me of that very difficult time of the year for me, and when I was going through a lot of stress. And so, warning to you, don't ruin your beautiful fragrances with very stressful times, because it does kind of do that. It kind of ruins it. Though I will say, spoiler, I have been wearing it lately because I was like, no, I refuse to let that stressful period of my life overshadow how wonderful this fragrance is, because it really truly is. And I have found that I can change it. I can change the memory. So it's slow. It still reminds me of last spring, but I've been wearing it lately and really been enjoying it. And I haven't been like, even though I'm brought back to that time when I just smell it out of the bottle, when I wear it on me, I don't feel that. I'm fully immersed in the present, and I don't feel haunted by that time. So yeah, definitely I'm going to be more cautious now of what I wear when I'm going through maybe a harder time, because I don't love that it can kind of ruin a fragrance for you. You know, fragrance memory is a thing, and while we can't control everything that happens, obviously, like, things happen and then you have memories associated to the fragrance. If I can help it, I will help it, and I'll probably try to not wear fragrance when I'm going through a particularly difficult time, or at least vary my fragrances so that I don't like have a specific scent memory related to one fragrance. You know what I mean? Because this is a fragrance that I absolutely fell in love with. Like, I'm obsessed with this fragrance. It's one of my absolute favorite fragrances in my collection right now. So, and that's how powerful the scent memory was kind of ruining it for me in the past few months. So yeah, this is one that I wore a lot when I first bought it in the springtime. It was super uplifting, super mouth-watering. It has this very sweet and tart, juicy, candied element. It's a pear fragrance, but it's like a very candied pear, but it's a effervescent, fizzy, sort of sweet and sour pear. It's not like a heavy candied pear, you know what I mean? Sort of like my other fragrance that I wore a lot during this time, which I'll mention. But yeah, it reminds me definitely a lot of Sour Patch Kids, like when you just get a whiff of that. So it has a little bit of a citrus element, even though it's the pear. It's the citrus element of the pear that's kind of candied and sweet and sour. I just love it. And then it dries down very, very musky and powdery, and it's just a beautiful fragrance for any time, anywhere. I love wearing this fragrance when I'm just running out the door, when I'm just alone at home, when I just want to be comforted or uplifted. I love this fragrance. The other fragrance I wore, this is a fragrance that I wore again during that difficult period of time, but this is one that I used for when I was kind of going out and trying to have a better day, or yeah, like we were either going out for supper or something like that. And that is Jean-Paul Gaultier La Belle, the original La Belle. So this is another beautiful pear fragrance that you probably already know of, but this was very uplifting and just made me feel a lot more invigorated and sexy as a woman at a time when I felt like crap, to be honest. So it was very uplifting at that point in time. In the springtime, this was very uplifting, and it was also still cold enough outside for me to be able to wear this fragrance, which is still a heavier, more gourmand fragrance. This is not something that I would probably wear in the summertime, But in that spring transition time, this was amazing, and it was a great pick-me-up fragrance. So that's Jean Paul Gaultier La Belle. And so yeah, those are basically the fragrances that I rotated through a lot in the springtime, I would say. So that's GUERLAIN Mon Guerlain, the Eau de Parfum, Clean Reserve Radiant Nectar, BURBERRY Her, the original EDP, and of course Jean Paul Gaultier La Belle. So moving on towards the summertime, I definitely had some fragrances that I just kept reaching for over and over again. I still wore Burberry Her quite a bit, but what kind of replaced that was my Daisy Marc Jacobs Oh So Intense. This one is just a little bit more green and fresher, but it still has a very similar candied, airy sort of quality. Still very fruity, it's still very sweet, and it does have a slight candy element, a little bit like a fruity popsicle sort of vibe, but it's just a lot more watery and fresh to me, and it has a little bit of a green element to it without being a green perfume. I think it's just a fresh element that I really enjoy, and it just was perfect for the super hot days when I wanted something that was kind of cooling but still fresh and sweet at the same time. This was one of my go-to fragrances for those days. And my most worn probably fragrance this summer too was a newer fragrance to me. This is Vanilla Vibes, no longer new to me, but you know what I mean. I got it at the beginning of summer, and this is Juliette Has a Gun Vanilla Vibes. Now this dent, which might not look like much, was entirely made this summer. It was, you know, completely full, and now I have this dent. This is a fragrance that I wore all summer long. This is a fragrance that I wore super casually when I was just going out to run errands or going to the park or going for a walk. But it's also a fragrance that I wore when I just wanted to feel pretty and uplifted and didn't really know what I was doing that day. This was an amazing fragrance. It's just a salty vanilla, slightly powdery amber fragrance. It's mainly a salty vanilla fragrance. It definitely has a bit of a creamy quality, a little bit of a suntan lotion quality, but it's just very timeless. And like, I'm smelling it now, I'm absolutely brought back to last summer. Speaking of which, I'm also brought back to the past summer with the Daisy Oh So Intense. These fragrances just bring me back totally to summer 2022. So I know I'm gonna wear these this coming summer as well, and I really enjoyed these this summer. They kept me going, you know, they kept me going. Now, throughout all this time, throughout the entire year, there are two fragrances that, aside from the Mon Guerlain, that I wore kind of periodically throughout the entire year, mainly as my bedtime fragrances. So I wore these quite often in that situation, and they just became my go-to fragrances. I have hundreds of fragrances in my collection, and these are the two fragrances I reach for the most when I just want to feel comforted and cozy after a shower. I'm an evening shower kind of person. Let me know, are you a morning shower person or a evening shower person? I love my evening showers. But those fragrances are PRADA Candy, the original PRADA Candy, which I just love. It's a soft, powdery caramel fragrance. It is categorized as a gourmand caramel fragrance, but it does not read as very gourmand to me. It's definitely more elegant and cozy and powdery to me. It's a little bit musky as well. I just love this fragrance. It's definitely not like any of the other caramel fragrances I have, which tend to all be a lot more gourmand and decadent. This is a powdery, soft, cozy caramel fragrance. And the other one that I wore a lot is Dolce & Gabbana Pour Femme, just the original one. This is a fragrance that I didn't think much of when I first got it, but it has just quickly taken over as my favorite sort of go-to fragrance when I don't really know what to wear in the evening before bed, but I just want to be kind of cozy and comforted, and I want to smell a little bit sweet. This is again a powdery marshmallow fragrance, so it seems kind of gourmand, but the marshmallow in here is not particularly gourmand to me. It's definitely more powdery and soft and cozy, and in a non-gourmand kind of way. So it is powdery from that marshmallow. I do think it has a lot of the orange blossom in it, which kind of takes over, and it does also have some raspberry in it, which is really nice. Not candied raspberry, it's a light fluffy sort of raspberry. It's like a light fluffy raspberry marshmallow cloud sort of fragrance with a lot of orange blossom. Not too sweet, like it is sweet, but it's not a syrupy sweet fragrance. It's a very soft, powdery, slightly sweet fragrance that I just loved for bedtime. So both of these are kind of fragrances that I like need to have around at all times because they're just my easy reach bedtime or cozy time fragrances. So I wore those throughout the year in the evening quite often. Next, when it got a little bit cooler out and fall came around, I did experiment with a lot of fragrances, but there are some fragrances that I noticed I just kept going back to over and over again. So some of these were Vanilla Woods by the Seven Virtues. This is a powdery, sweet, gourmand caramel amber fragrance. It says Vanilla Woods. There's no actual woods in the fragrance, but there is a woody feeling to the fragrance, which I think comes from the pear and amber mixed together. This is a little bit gourmand, and the caramel in here is really yummy. This is the kind of fragrance that if you wear, someone might ask if like there's some kind of dessert being cooked or something, you know what I mean? It does smell really yummy. It's also very comforting and cozy at the same time though, and because of that, I think I just reached for it quite often this fall. And yeah, I did put this dent in it basically this fall because before that I hadn't worn it as much, and I really enjoy this fragrance. I also reached quite often for my SKYLAR Vanilla Sky, which again, for similar reasons, super comforting, cozy fragrance. This is a little bit of a equally powdery and lactonic coffee vanilla fragrance. It has a cappuccino note in here, which is the note that I think smells a little bit lactonic because it really does have a bit of a milk foam, milky quality to it. And the coffee is very much a sweetened, milky coffee. It's not a heavy, robust black coffee in here at all. And it's predominantly vanilla. It's a very simple, straightforward fragrance to me, but very effective, very cozy. And this is another one of those fragrances that I picked up when I didn't really know what I wanted to wear, but I just wanted to smell sweet and a little bit cozy and comforted. Really great fragrance, especially this fall is when I enjoyed it. So that's Vanilla Sky by SKYLAR. And then another fragrance that I already knew I loved, but I just kind of hadn't worn for a while. I would say maybe even for like the entire past year before this fall, I had just kind of stopped wearing it for whatever reason. I guess just I had a lot of other fragrances that I was wearing instead. And that's VERSACE Cristal Noir, the Eau de Toilette. And this is a fragrance that I just fell in love with all over again this fall. The times that I wore it, I was just like, wow, that is just so good. Why don't I wear it more often? So I did start wearing it more often. This is a very sort of equally powdery, a little bit milky fragrance. It has some gardenia in there that smells a little bit soapy, but also kind of lactonic. And it has a lot of sandalwood in here. It has a little bit of cardamom and ginger at the top to add a little bit of a warm, spicy element. But other than that, I get a lot of that gardenia and the sandalwood in here. And it's a very sensual fragrance. It really is. It's very sexy. It's very sensual. This is the kind of fragrance that, not just because of the bottle, but the scent, I'm telling you, I would wear with an all black outfit kind of vibes. You know, it's not austere or harsh in any way though. It's just very sensual and confident in an understated kind of way. This is one that definitely gets compliments from me, from my partner as well. He really, really enjoys this fragrance and always gets a reaction. And this is a fragrance, while I'm not sure how it compares to the newer formulation, like post 2020, I think is when it changed. This lasts and it projects and gives off great sillage, and it leaves the best scent trail like from on my clothes. If I wear this, I smell it on my clothes forever until I wash them again. And it just leaves the best scent. Like, it has the best dry down. I just love this fragrance, and I just fell in love with it all over again this past fall. I have worn it a couple times in this winter as well, but a lot this fall, basically. So that's Cristal Noir, the Eau de Toilette. And then more recently, I again fell in love with, my Hypnotic Poison by DIOR, the Eau de Toilette, which is my preference. I do have the Eau de Parfum and I like that one, but it's quite different. It's a lot darker, a little bit more licorice, and just a different vibe. And this is just a fragrance that I've become, again, I've reignited my passion for this fragrance. I had put it away for the past year, probably a lot, trying other fragrances, but it's another one that I'm just coming back to, that I just am completely in love with, and that I could douse myself with. I could wear this every day, any time of day. I just love it. It just has the best, smoothest, most powdery, clean, vanilla, white floral, sandalwood fragrance. It just has a beautiful mix of coconut and almond in the most perfect, subtle kind of way. A powdery vanilla, a little bit of white florals in there to uplift it, and some sandalwood in there and some other woods to balance it out and ground it. But I just love this fragrance so much. It's one of my absolute all-time favorite fragrances. And I've especially been enjoying it the last couple of months, like November, December. It's been one of my go-to fragrances for that time. Now, the other fragrance that kind of like took over is a fragrance that, if you've been here for a while, you might have seen in one of my fall haul videos that I picked up KAYALI Musk 12. I picked up the mini, and you guys, this dent here is what happened after like a week or two of use. That doesn't happen with any of my minis. So I was like, okay, I need to get a full size. And this is actually the first full size fragrance that I've gotten from KAYALI. I've since added 2 more, but 50 mLs. KAYALI Musk 12, I got a 100 ml because I love it that much. This is a fragrance that I could absolutely wear anytime, anywhere, any day. Absolutely a contender for a signature scent. It has a beautiful, powdery, soft, floral musk quality to it that is just timeless, effortless, and just beautiful. It just has really pretty sillage too. This is not a wide projecting fragrance, and it's not necessarily the most long lasting, but it is one of those fragrances that plays peekaboo with you a lot, with yourself and other people. Like, other people will smell you, but sometimes I forget that like other people can smell me, and I'll be like, oh, do I have to reapply? But this gets compliments as well, which I was very surprised about, because I would have never expected that this fragrance did, because like I said, it's a more subtle fragrance, but I just absolutely love this. I do find that I have to apply more of it, which is why I picked the 100 ml bottle. So that, in conjunction with the fact that I just love this fragrance and I wear it very often, meant that I got the 100 ml bottle, and like, I already have a dent in it. You know what I mean? And I've only had it for about a month. So yeah, I absolutely love this fragrance, and I've been sleeping on it. It's a very slept on fragrance. It's definitely an underrated KAYALI fragrance, although I will say, when they had their sale not long ago, this is the one that was sold out. So maybe, people know it's that good. You know what I mean? So just amazing fragrance. I've been loving this fragrance the past couple of months with the mini and then the full size. I'm just, yeah, so good. So there you have it, you guys. Those were the fragrances that kind of carried me through this year. The fragrances that kind of, kept me going, and that I kept going back to over and over again. These are not always necessarily the most extravagant fragrances, and you'll notice that most of these are on the more affordable end of things, but these are the fragrances that, I just wore again and again and again. So I think that says something, So let me know down below what you've been wearing mostly this year. I would love to know, are there some fragrances that you've been reaching for over and over again? And were you surprised by what those fragrances were? Because sometimes you have this idea in your head of what you think your go-to fragrances are for different occasions or different seasons, especially if you have a larger collection. And if you actually observe and see what you're actually gravitating towards, it's not necessarily always what you think it is, or at least that's the case for me. So let me know down below if you have a similar experience. I hope you enjoyed this video. I will also have a video going over my top discoveries of 2022. So definitely subscribe and hit the notification bell. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you to Ana Luisa Jewelry for sponsoring today's video. Definitely check out their sale going on right now for 20% off site-wide. I will leave a direct link down below for you to shop through. You can also use my code CharlotteRoss20 for 20% off at all times. And until we see each other again, I wish you all a wonderful New Year's, and we will see each other in the new year. Take care of yourself. I'll see you very soon.